Hey guys, I don't remember what number video this is, but this is another quarantine catch-up. Today we're going to cover some really basic mobility things. I don't want to get too deep into it because I invited all of you guys to Brogan's mobility class tomorrow at 2:30. So if you can make that, I would highly recommend it. It's a lot of really awesome mobility techniques for your ankles, your hips, your knees, your shoulders, your elbows. Pretty much like the stuff that gets banged up in any sport, but when you're doing jiu-jitsu and your arms are getting pulled in weird directions, they definitely take more of a beating. Then we're going to be going over a really basic setup for a reverse triangle. And then we'll go over some of the side control escapes that you guys were asking about. So let's start with the mobility stuff just because it's good to get like warmed up ahead of time. So we're going to start with one that we've done before in class. You're basically just using your fingers to press your torso up. You don't even need to like really muscle it. Just kind of lift up, go down, lift up, go down. And your fingers are probably going to crack a bunch. Your forearms might have some little pops too. But basically you want to just be really using your fingers and your hands and your wrists to elevate yourself, stretch them out, gain some strength. So the second one, and this one was honestly my favorite out of everything she showed, is for your ankles. So in jiu-jitsu, we use our ankles a ton, but it's usually from like the actual movements coming from our knee or our hip. We're never really doing like the teeny tiny little motions in the ankle that we should be doing to keep it healthy. Just because like we're not running, we're not walking really unless we're like on our feet doing takedowns, but our ankles take a lot of beatings. So what you're gonna do is, she said that this leg can really go wherever you want it. You can stretch it out, you can bring it in. But what's gonna be important is what you're doing with this leg. So I'm gonna take my outside arm, reach through, and I'm gonna basically get like a rear naked choke grip. And this is just to stabilize my knee and my hip so that I'm not cheating with them. So what I'm gonna do now is turn my ankle out to the sides, trying not to move my knee, trying not to use my leg. You might notice your toes doing weird things because the little muscles in your foot are trying to keep you stable. And as you go back and forth, even if the first couple times you feel like you barely got any movement, because the first time I did this, I can tell you my foot was a brick. But you're going to be able to increase the mobility. Once you get comfortable with that motion, you're going to stretch your foot forward and backward. Same thing, holding the knee in place so that you're not moving around. Anyone who runs has probably done this before. Then turn in and out again. Switch legs. And again, start with the back and forth. Nice and slow. Don't try to push it. And then forward and back. Then the last one, Mia and I couldn't quite remember if we were doing it 100% correct, but if we're doing it wrong, Brogan will correct it tomorrow. You're gonna get into a tabletop position, and you're gonna grab your own shoulder. And when you grab your own shoulder, you're gonna bring your elbow down to your wrist. So I'm gonna reach all the way down. Foot up front? No, we did this one without the foot up front too. Remember? We started with this way. Then you're gonna reach up all the way. So this should give you a nice stretch in your lat. All the way down again. All the way up again. Same thing on the other side. Grab your shoulder and bring your elbow down. Then all the way up. And then what Mia was just saying is to add a little bit of challenge to it. We can bring our foot forward into a lunge. And now put my hand back down. I can do it again. And now you're gonna feel the stretch in your lat, but also stretch in your glute and your hamstring, which are two other really big, tense areas for anyone who does any type of combat sport, really any sport of any kind. So we're gonna bring elbow down, hand up, And so that's all I've got for you guys for mobility today. Please try to join class tomorrow at 2:30. It's going to be Wednesday. She's also taking optional donations to benefit Defensive Edge Martial Arts and Team Flow BJJ. Just because they're definitely experiencing a hard time just like everyone else. I know a lot of people have continued their memberships through everything going on with quarantine, but obviously not everyone's in a financial position to do that. So if you are in a position that you could donate even just like $5, it would definitely be appreciated. She's going to be splitting it between the 2 gyms and then also adding a donation of her own on top of it. And I sent the Venmo info to the messenger group. So now, to get into some actual jiu-jitsu, we're going to start with the reverse triangle just because I'm not as good at it, honestly. It's not because, like, it's not even the setup really, it's more just my body type doesn't really work the best for reverse triangles. I have pretty short legs. And when you go for the reverse triangle, you're going to find that, like, once you see the setup, it really pops up in a lot of weird different places. But like I said, for a lot of people, whether it's a actual just like leg length issue or a flexibility issue, the setup isn't the hard part, it's actually finishing the triangle. So we'll go over that, and then we'll get into the side control escapes, which I'm also going to be doing that cool Darce from the side control escape, which if you start catching people in that, you're going to be pissing a lot of people off because they're not even going to see it coming. But let's start with the reverse triangle. So this can be set up from many different places. I know Matt was asking specifically about a reverse triangle from the back. Not gonna lie, I didn't find very much info on that anywhere. I'm gonna keep digging because for your body type and your leg length, that's definitely gonna be something that you're gonna be able to set up from there. I think that a lot of other people just don't have long ass legs, so they're not really trying to set it up from there. But we're gonna be starting from butterfly today. It's gonna be set up from closed guard's kind of rough, half guard you can really set it up. And I'm gonna show you the leg position that you're kind of looking for this particular setup. Starting from the butterfly with Mia trying to pass. So we're gonna begin in our butterfly position. And let's assume that during this roll, Mia's been a really aggressive passer. So she's trying to smash my legs. She knows that I'm trying to keep her away. She's trying to put the pressure on. So at this point, I kind of decide, well, maybe I'm having trouble pummeling. Maybe I'm having trouble closing the distance. I'm going to play a little bit of a different game, and I'm going to start playing with the feet on the hips and controlling the wrists. So it's important that I'm trying to get to the outside. If I'm like this group's really nothing. She can lift up. She can even just grab my head right from there and pull it down. And now I'm stuck with my knees crunched into my chest, my head crunched down, and really no good way to go other than like leg pressing her away, which is an option, but for like big, strong guys, they're not just gonna move away. So I'm trying to control the outside, pinching the forearms with my elbows so she can't swim in. And basically what I'm trying to do from here is kind of create some tension. So whether we ended up here because of the scenario I just gave, or adversely, I could end up in the position that I'm going for by Mia trying to smash my legs. So let's say we get here. What we're looking to do is end up in a position where I have my hook on one side of her neck and my hook on the side of her hip. So show it from the other side. My foot is hooked on her hip and my other foot is kind of hooked by her neck, and I'm holding her elbows. So if she tries to go that way, I'm preventing her from moving with my foot, so try to spin. And then if she tries to go this way, I can either come through and set up a normal triangle, or I can go for the reverse triangle as we're going to go over. So as you see, once you get that leg position, it's pretty powerful in controlling the person's movement. It doesn't look like it would be. It looks like you'd be getting smashed all day, but you have a shocking amount of power there. So back to the original setup working. I'm going to pick my direction. And I'm setting up my position. I like to have my knee in the armpit, just because I feel like it helps me keep this grip versus it being over here. And I can apply a bit more pressure here when her armpit's over the knee, especially with that foot. You don't want to be nice with this foot. It can't be like this, like ballerina toes. We're curling our toes in and we're engaging with our shins, both on the hip and on the chest. So here's where the setup gets a little funky. Just move back. You're going to feel like you need to shoot both of your legs in the same direction. Resist that urge. So back in that position we were just in, got my hook. So what I need to do is come around with both legs kind of at the same time, but the timing of that can be kind of funky. So this foot's actually going to come to the opposite side of Mia's head. As it comes to the opposite side of Mia's head, I'm going to shrimp out, kick through, and I'm locking like this. So Mia is going to try to come near me, possibly step over my head. I'm going to prevent it like this. From here, what I need to do is grab my shin. Actually, this ended up just so I can, let me try that again. Kick it this way. I ended up out of position. So I'm coming like this. You don't switch it. But I did. No. You just kick through and grip my elbow. So I'm coming like this. I'm gripping my shin, preventing her from stepping over. And from here, Mia's probably going to try to posture up. I want to follow that. As I follow it, I'm coming up to my elbow, and I'm grabbing my shin. Pulling her down, and locking my triangle. So as you see, it takes more leg length to control from that angle than it does for a straight on triangle. So I can show that one more time. I'm gonna do this side. So I'm here, I'm kicking through, and I'm locking. Preventing the leg from moving. And I'm gonna attempt to come up to my elbow and my shoulder, so I'm turned on my hip. Now, I can bring my foot deeper in and lock. If I had longer legs, I would be able to get my foot all the way behind the knee. Matt, you're not gonna have any problem doing that. But as you see, from that angle, she's gonna have to lift my entire body up to be able to kind of stack me. Versus when we're in the normal triangle position, it's super easy for her to stack me. Even if I'm doing a great job controlling the head, she's able to bring me up and over because she's not holding my entire body weight the same way she is for the reverse triangle. So here I'm able to bring it down. So even if you end up there and you can't necessarily lock it up as deep as you want to, it's still an effective position. You can still try it out. If you have long legs, your best case scenario is going to be to roll them over and then submit them from on top. So you get points for a sweep and you get submission. Now we're going to go into, it's so fucking hot in here. One sec, guys. Okay, so now we're gonna go over some side control options. A couple of these we went over in the past, a couple of these are new. But we're gonna start in a queso position. So from this queso position, Mia's not going to have her cross face sunk in all the way. She's gonna be reaching for it, and my goal is to prevent her from coming in. So what we need to remember here is that if I'm up in the armpit, she can swim her forearm in pretty easily. If I hold at the elbow, it's much harder for her to work her forearm in, and I can kind of follow the arm. I don't need to death grip it. I just need to follow it kind of like a shield. So from here, if we're able to just hold off the arm and she makes no attempt to swing over, what we're going to do is switch arms. So my outside hand is going to hold the elbow. I'm going to come up above my head to bring my elbow on. So I can't just go like this. I can't just roll like that and expect that I'm just going to be able to push myself up. She's going to be pressuring into me. I want to put my elbow above my head, drag it in like this. From here, I'm going to do a big step out and come up so that I'm facing her again. Our second option from there, because chances are they're not going to hold their arm in that one place for that whole time, she's going to try to reach over, and rather than holding her back and trying to prevent her, I'm going to let her. So I'm going to hold, and I'm pushing, and I'm also coming up to my elbow. So I want that to be one fluid motion, or I'm going to get stuck. So we're starting with queso. She notices I'm preventing the crossface, so she comes up, and I'm coming all the way up to my hand immediately, following the momentum of her body. If I do that piece by piece, it's gonna look like this. She's gonna come over and I'm gonna be, well, pressure down. She's gonna pressure down and I'm not gonna be able to come up. But even if she's being super heavy, if I follow her momentum over, I'm not really gonna have much of a problem. From here, I need to get out of this position immediately and turn to face again, or go back to my closed guard. Let's go back. So those are both from Kesa. So this one is going to be more addressing what we do once they already have the cross face in. So from here, a few details that are really important are largely about what we're doing with our elbows. So if I'm just trying to push her away with my hands, I'm pretty much pulling this lock that she has around my neck against my own neck. So I'm gonna have a really hard time. What I wanna do is force her to look away. So I'm gonna lift my elbow and pressure into her throat, not going like this. If I flare my elbow out towards myself, she can lock the head and arm triangle and she's gonna choke. Here, I wanna be lifting my elbow into her. So again, not like this, but flaring it up like this. My other elbow, I want it to be all the way on the ground. So I'm gonna bring my elbow to the ground and I'm cupping at the hip. So as I'm kind of pushing at the hip, I don't want to have my arms straight out like this. If I keep my arms straight out like this and she drops her hip to the other side, I can jam my wrist and my elbow. So I'm basically wrist locking myself if I do that. If I keep my elbow bent, if she moves her hip towards me, I can continue pressuring, but just pushing away. So from here, I'm going to flare my elbow up, I'm going to take a big step out, and I'm going to turn in. But as I'm turning in, I'm going to bring my knee through in the space that I've created. Just like this. Now, a lot of the times, that's all that we really give you guys for detail. We tell you, come in here, once your knee is through, we pull it into closed guard. Anyone who's been doing jiu-jitsu for more than a few months knows that that is not always going to work. So we're going to add an extra detail that I think will help you guys a lot. I'm going to bring my elbow to the mat, pressuring on the hip, flaring my elbow up, step out, and once I'm here, I'm going to kind of hook with my ankle and pressure away. But with this knee, I'm coming in and I'm controlling her armpit as I come through. Once I'm here, I can either go straight for a triangle or I can just come right into my guard, but I have the knee to help pressure her away to create the space.
You can also probably come in for the reverse triangle, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Mia was just saying you can also come in for the reverse triangle. You're just going to do it same way that we set up at the beginning. Trying to think of more details for the reverse triangle that I had. I think one big one that I have for the reverse triangle before we finish up is that when we're coming in here, once I shoot through and I trap her like this, I don't want to give her the time to sit up. I want to use my legs to pull her forward. From here, I can create some space, come up to my elbow, and pull in, but I'm still controlling the head. See, she's already tapping. I'm still like a foot away from closing it up. But definitely control their posture preemptively, because once they're up in that position, it's much more awkward of a position to start fighting back from than our straightforward triangle, just because they're already kind of like, a lot of the times people will get it from them very nearly passing their guard, so like they're already on their way out. If we're going to throw out the reverse triangle, it either needs to be with the intention of sweeping them or of finishing it from there. So that's about all we've got for you guys today. Oh, the Darce. Almost missed the most fun one. Okay, so from here, we have a couple options. If she brings her hand to the opposite side of my hip, I can spin out like this, control the arm, and come up like this so I can go straight for my back take. Another cool option we have, if she's trying to prevent that, so let's say she has her arm over here, and now she's going to bring it over, because as soon as I bring my hand to the opposite side of her rib, she has an idea of what I'm going for. Once we're here, we can still go for that weird spinning escape, but instead of doing it with the intention of passing, well, escaping, we're going to finish with a choke. So this arm, is going to shoot forward and around the neck as this one meets it to grab the bicep. So I'm going to do big step out. I start my spin, and I'm grabbing my bicep. So the common misconception is that this hand is grabbing this bicep. What's going to happen is I'm actually grabbing the bicep of the arm that was doing the spinning. From here, I'm going to grab her lat, pull her over, and I'm spinning in to finish the choke. One more time. She brings her hand to the opposite side of my hip to prevent me from shrimping out and bringing my knee through. So I think, oh, fine, I'm going to spin out. She knows that trick. She brings her arm through. I'm grabbing my bicep, gripping the lat, trying to hold in there for a second. And I'm forcing her to fall to her side so I can walk my feet towards hers. As I walk my feet towards hers, it tightens that choke up. So that's super important. You don't want to try it, like if the person taps while they're still up on all fours, then they tapped. Most people with some experience aren't going to tap from there. You're going to have to take them over to the side and walk your feet in. It's very important that the lock stays on top. We don't want our hand underneath them. We want it on top so that we're walking towards it. Do you have anything else? Did I say anything else that I was going to do?
No. Just remember to come to Brogan's class tomorrow. We'll
Yeah.
be there doing it. It's amazing.
Yeah, and bring, I think she said that you need like a slightly deflated ball or like a yoga ball. If you have resistance bands, use the resistance bands. Yeah, hopefully see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.